Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the very first episode. Well, not quite the first episode, an introduction to the mindful professional. Before we get started, let's introduce ourselves. So, Murtuza, over to you. Introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about you.
Thanks, Barry. Hi, all. My name is Murtuza Viramgamwala. I am the Strategic Alliances Lead at Poly. My purpose at my job is to align with Microsoft, and the purpose of Poly itself is to create human connections, create meaningful human connections. And I've taken that piece and sort of applied to my life as well. I want to create good practices for work. I want to find out what motivates people. I want to do a lot of things while at work, but also for a lot of other employees around the world. And I found a good friend in Barry, who I'd like him to introduce himself.
Right, thank you ever so much there, Murtuza. Yeah, so my name is Barry Coombs. I am Chief Technology Officer at a company called Computer World. We help organizations bring together business, the users, ultimately utilizing technology to do that. From my side and from my individual lessons and learning, I'm very passionate about kind of learning more around myself, about how to maximize my productivity, to disconnect from work, to help and connect with others. And for me, those are the things that I'm really excited about to be learning more on our journey with the mindful professional. So as we get started then, Murtuza, you brought this opportunity to me. You kind of connected with me and we're really keen to have an outlet to be sharing some of your thoughts and talking about some of those things. So do you want to share with the audience some of your initial thoughts around the mindful professional?
Absolutely. Barry, we've known each other from a few events. You'd invited me, and I had seen you present, and I had seen your thought process. After which we sort of became friends, and we started discussing a lot more about work and the future of work. And then you told me about what you're doing with the motivational maps, and that sort of excited me. I thought that you have very similar ideas, but even more expertise and creativity into this field. I thought it'd be really great to sort of partner with you and create a very light show that people can sort of listen to in their spare time or take a break from work, a 10-15 minute break and listen to. And initially, when I thought let's keep it more centered around productivity and motivation. But Barry, you gave a lot more ideas to it, and these were my initial thoughts. What were yours, Barry? Why did you want to do this?
Yeah, so I think when you approached me about it, it was really quite interesting. And as we know, we both share a similar love and a passion for learning more about humans, about ourselves, about motivation, about calm, about all these kind of things. We've had a number of kind of on the side discussions around business discussions around that. And myself, I've been on a bit of a journey. I probably class myself as a workaholic kind of thing. I love my job. I love interacting with people. I love technology. But equally, that can make it very difficult for me to disconnect at the end of the day and stop my mind racing because I love what I'm doing kind of thing. So I've been on a bit of a journey to understand and learn the best ways for me to be able to do that over the time. And that's seen me work very closely with a personal coach and kind of look inside myself and look inside some of the things that I'm doing. After doing that, I decided to become an NLP practitioner myself, so neuro-linguistic programming. And I've done some courses and got some qualifications around that. I've done a mental health first aid course, a subject that is really dear to my heart kind of thing, with family and friends that have suffered poor mental health, as we all do at certain times kind of thing. Mental health is something that we need to feel comfortable to talk about. We all have mental health, and we, just as we can catch a cold or something like that, we can all have sort of moments where we don't feel as good, and we need to be able to recognize that and put things into place to help rectify that. So that is something that is very important to me as well. And then most recently for me, the motivational mapping. What motivates us in our life? How can I make sure the people I'm working with are motivated as best as I can do? How can I make sure I'm motivated? So these are subject areas I spend a lot of time reading about, a lot of time thinking about. So to have an outlet where we could just chat around some of these subjects, I think would be really good for you and I, and hopefully some of those listening.
Absolutely, and I'm sure the people who are listening might have seen your qualification, and definitely it's a natural fit for me to come to you as not only an expert but a really good friend who likes to share insights. And I think it's a great combination, Barry. I'm sure we'd be able to not only help ourselves but help some of our colleagues and some of the other industry peers who might benefit from what we are trying to do. So just to tell you a little bit of what we're trying to do, we're trying to read a lot more about these subjects of productivity, of well-being, of motivations at work, and then we'll try to apply a lot of them in our lives, right? We've even thought of future episodes that include nutrition probably, and we'll bring in some guest speakers, and we'll try to make this as productive for you but as light and as easy for you, because we realize you're already listening to a lot of serious stuff at work. You've got so many other learning platforms that you're going to. This rather be a more relaxing experience for you than to add any more stress. So do not worry about getting any notes to this show, and feel free to share your comments. Feel free to sort of like, post, reshare, and help some of your other colleagues and friends.
Definitely, and I think that's a really important thing of this. We're not sat here proclaiming to be experts in all of this. We're certainly
Yeah,
not here proclaiming to have our lives sorted, no problems, and we've wrapped it all up. We're two friends talking about subjects that interest us, and we hope by listening or watching the episodes of this, you will be able to come along on the journey with us. You'll be able to kind of hear about the lessons that we've learned, the things we've learned, the things that maybe we're going to give a try in our lives to see what the impact would be, and hopefully, Murtuza, we'll feel the ability that we can be honest with the audience and lessons that we have learned, and where it kind of then went wrong and how we then corrected ourselves from that side. So hopefully people will enjoy that kind of relaxed sense of conversation, the relaxed sense of learning, and not being kind of lectured in the subjects we're going to be talking about.
sure, sure. And also important to mention that this is not commercial. We don't intend this to be commercial either now or in the future. So this really will remain a free platform, and a more like a platform to share. It might sort of morph into maybe something else, maybe some panel discussions in the future, or more like events. But this is not done on a commercial basis at all.
Definitely. And if you are watching and there's a subject that is really close to your heart around professional development or well-being or productivity or something like that, and you'd like to come and join us, then please feel free to reach out to either of us. LinkedIn's probably the best place to find us. And if you're watching this as a video or a podcast, we'll make sure we put some contact details below so you can find the best way to contact us. So, Murtuza, you touched upon some of the subjects we're going to be covering, but should we run through a bit of a list of some of the things we've been talking about? So you mentioned nutrition. What other ideas have we got? What subjects are we talking about?
Yeah, I think we'd start with motivation, which would be our next subject, but for which we will definitely give a little bit of a brief today, and we'd towards the end of the show, and we'd be speaking a little bit about why we chose that. We want to speak about time management and productivity going forward, because that seems to be a subject where a lot of us struggle. I myself have struggled a lot about time management and productivity, right? So we'd speak about that. We can speak about peak performance, how to sort of enhance your performance to the next level, right? A lot of these Silicon Valley hacks that we're talking about, can we apply some of them in our own lives? Not all of them, maybe. I'm not the one who's going to eat a lot of fats and zero carbs. I'm not that person, but let's try to see what we can pick up. It's simple things like yoga, simple things like mindfulness. We can speak about that, Barry. Any more ideas that you have penned down?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited just by kind of hearing the list of subjects that we've spoken about there. For me, I kind of want to delve into each of those and talk about some of the things that I've already learned, but we'll save that for the individual episodes. For me, the real things are productivity, as you've already mentioned there. I'm a busy individual. I've got lots of fingers in lots of pies, as they say, kind of thing. So I like to make sure that I'm maximizing my efficiency and doing things that really matter. It does frustrate me when I get to a point where I feel like I'm wasting my time or something like that. I do struggle with that, which then kind of brings me to the next piece, which is work-life balance. It means nothing more to me than being with family, being truly engaged, being truly present in those moments and those situations. And that does involve finding ways to truly switch off from work and be able to relax and change modes just like that kind of thing. So I'm really interested to talk about those. I think there's a good link to technology with both you and I kind of working in the technology industry. I think that is a subject and a theme that we will explore as we go through this. Certainly, I have quite a collection of well-being gadgets, which is probably against the kind of focus of mindfulness and things like that when you're going off to do a bit of meditation. But for me, if there's a gadget I can use to help me connect that, it helps connect me to that mindfulness. So hopefully from my side, I'll be able to bring some of that technologist side of things to it, but not from a distraction perspective, from a mindfulness, from a well-being, from a productivity perspective as well.
Absolutely, Barry. And again, like Barry mentioned, we don't proclaim to be experts. We still haven't bought our private jets where we're sitting and having champagne and telling you, please come and join us for this masterclass to that masterclass. We're not doing that at all. We're not pretending to be what we're not. But we are just like all of you, two people in two different job roles, trying to get through the day, trying to make sure we are more productive, we get our promotions, we deal with our day-to-day, sometimes frustrations, sometimes challenges, but we come through it. And I'm sure when you listen to us, you'll relate a lot more, especially when we start to see ideas coming from you all asking us to do episodes on a particular topic. I think you'll enjoy that even more and more. This is just a start, and even Barry and I are learning along the way. So I'm sure when you see us after 10 episodes, we might be slightly different. So this is the skills capability challenge, right? So we've got certain skills and capabilities. We want to expand them, and that's what we're doing by this creative form of coming with the podcast. Yeah, we want to stretch it a little by little so that it doesn't snap, but we start to sort of increase our skills. And that is, I think, the very first thing that we want to share with you. Start by knowing what your current skills are. Just don't keep playing within those skills. Try to expand a little bit, because you could get bored of doing the same thing again and again. So go a little more than what you normally do. Take some risks, and remember, social risk is one of the biggest risks that somebody can take. And all this I'm speaking from my own experiences that I've had, and a recent book that I've read, The Art of the Impossible. And I've started applying that, and I've learned a lot. So start taking these social risks. So social risks are even bigger than physical risks. That's what people say, because more people are scared of public speaking than they are of snakes. So you can imagine, and I think this is why it's important to take those little steps towards beating your fear, towards doing what you want to do. It'll immensely help you in your work. If you are hesitant about going and speaking with somebody, maybe higher up the ranks in your organization, throwing an idea that it be rejected, try with smaller steps. Try doing it with a different idea. Try doing it with a greeting in the beginning, and try to speak up to that person, and then see how it slowly starts to change, and how you start to increase your capability and decrease your fear.
Definitely. I think it's such an important aspect, and that point of continual development is something I strive by, and the hunger for that probably comes from my background in technology, being an engineer. You've constantly got to keep up with it. You've constantly got to learn, and as I've become a leader and an owner of a business kind of thing, I still like to keep my technology knowledge up kind of thing, but I look for these other opportunities that I can use to further my knowledge, further my ability to be able to do that. But around the social aspects you mentioned there, one of the things that people often don't believe me about, especially my colleagues at work, is generally I am a very nervous individual when it comes to public speaking, when it comes to presenting. However, today I am regularly seen doing podcasts, regularly doing things on stage. And over that time, I've managed to kind of put myself out there and learn to find the ways to actually really quite enjoy it. And part of that is probably overcoming the fear each time and how I do that. So I think as the episodes go on, Murtuza, we're going to have to start creating a virtual bookshelf, because you've already mentioned the first book there. I know you and I have already been talking and comparing notes around other books. So maybe one of the things we can do is pop on the website is the virtual bookshelf and map which book we talk about in which episode or something like that, to help people have a list of resources they can use to help them around specific subjects.
Definitely, Barry.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on. Moving on, do you want to start speaking about motivation, our next, some of our next episodes and stuff like that, or do you want to speak a little more about what you'd like to do in terms of the series itself?
So for me, I think moving on to that first episode, that the
Mm.
motivation episode, and I think the subject of motivation came up for both of us really, kind of questions and an area that you wanted to explore, and it just so happens that I've been going through my motivational mapping conversation there. So we don't want to give up too much of the first episode here, but the first episode is going to focus on motivation. What drives us? What drives you? What does motivation even mean? It's such a big subject kind of thing. So I don't know if there's some tasters you want to give now in this introductory episode, ready for people to come and join us on the full episode.
Yeah, sure. So we speak a lot about motivation, right? Motivation, like the other words, for example, innovation, are overly used words. We start using them for every little thing, but it's important to understand what basically motivation is. I mean, let's get to the biochemistry of motivation. What is motivation? So you do something, and brain rewards you with dopamine for doing that thing, which sort of makes you do that thing again, and then brain rewards you with dopamine. So then you get like into an upward spiral if you're doing the right thing. So let's say if you are a creative professional and doing something creative gives you fulfillment, that fulfillment actually is a little dopamine secreted. The same thing that you get when you win a little video game, or when you hit your first six in a cricket match, or it's just dopamine is secreted, and that's why you want to do more and more of that activity or that action. So knowing what sort of motivates you, or what creates that reaction in your brain, is really important, because you can use that then to steer your ship, or to even energize or fuel your ship to go in the right direction. And I think that is what basically motivation is. And Barry, can you tell us a little more about the motivational maps in the training, and then I'll speak about the motivational map that you did for me, and what were
Yeah.
the findings, and then we can speak in the next episode about how I use those findings to sort of get better at what I do.
Definitely, that's it. So for me, motivation is something that is really important. I think one of the most important things to change, and I like that kind of scientific explanation there of motivation, but your motivation isn't something that is fixed. It's not like something that's maybe more like your personality or something like that. It's not
Mhm.
something that's fixed. Over times, things will change. Your motivation will change over time. So it's been important for me as my career has changed, and my career has changed rapidly over the last 4 to 5 years, to be connected to what motivates me, to kind of be able to have that opportunity to reflect. And I've been working with someone to understand my motivation using a technique called motivational mapping. And I'll introduce you to him. We'll see if he can maybe come and join us in a later episode. He's a gentleman that runs a business called The Reluctant Leader, and I attended a course to become a motivational mapper. What that means is we use a set of questions to be able to understand somebody's motivation, but also the detractors. So what are the demotivators in your life as well? And it's important to know both of those things, because at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong, but it's important to know that are you in a situation that actually is a demotivator. So you just need to be mindful of that to make sure you're still approaching that situation with your best possible intent. But equally, what really does motivate you? How can you make sure you're doing more of those things, kind of thing? So we do an assessment, we get back a set of results, and it then allows us to have a coaching moment, a coaching conversation with the individuals that are have taken it around their motivation and what happens. And Murtuza, when you came to me speaking about motivations in life, speaking about kind of purpose and things like that, I said, well, I've got something we could give it a go if you want. I've just done this course. I've got a few that I'm able to run through with people. Would you like to give it a go? So I suppose over to you. What happened from your side?
So from my side, Barry, after you sort of opened that book of motivation for me, and you started to talk about what, and I took a test first, and after the test, the results were sort of some were sort of some things I knew already, but I wasn't applying, and there were some things that sort of came out as a discovery, and then I started to use them. So the three things that came out of the report were that one, friendships at work motivate me, and two, being creative at work motivates me, and three, having a purpose at work motivates me. So we all do have sort of certain things, and not everybody needs to go through the motivational maps.
No.
Maybe some of us should just sort of sit back, relax, and think about what gives us happiness, what gives us pleasure at work, and start doing more of that. And if that is congruent with what your role demands of you, then you're going to benefit more in both ways. One, you're going to be happy. Two, you're going to be more productive. Same with creativity. So for me, it had, although I used to apply some creativity at work, but it had become almost either or. Either I'm doing my work or I'm doing something creative, which is like a hobby. But how do you then mix the two? How do you bring creativity at work? Because then it will also make you happy. Work will become more rewarding and thereby more productive. What was the discovery? And I told you somewhere discoveries was that I'm a very purpose-driven person. Although this was something I wouldn't have found myself, and I think I needed the motivational maps to show me that. I used to get bored really easily of anything. If you give me a task, I'd do it for a week, and after that, I'd be like, why am I doing this? And then, you know what, I'd delay it, I'd procrastinate, I would not do it, these kind of things. And so what I then did is sort of made a 2-page document for myself and said, what is the purpose? What do I want to achieve in FY22? So we just started what's the plan? And now everything I do attaches to that plan. So it no longer is a boring thing, because I know what I'm doing today, or that little action, or that little email, or that where is it going to all join up, and what's the purpose. So these are the three main things: friendships, creativity, and purposefulness. These were the three big motivators for myself, and I've started to apply that in my everyday work life.
Fantastic.
And thanks to you, Barry.
Fantastic. And it was great to hear how that the motivational maps was able to link to that. But I am completely with you. Not everybody will need or want to do a motivational map. There's ways you can reflect on that yourself. And I think we'll save that to touch on in the episode. What are some of kind of our thoughts around understanding your motivators and things like that? And in the episode, I will talk about my motivators and what my motivators are as well. It's good to see that obviously we're ticking off some of your motivators by getting this project underway, by being a bit creative, by growing our friendship for those kind of things as well. So I think this has been a great introductory episode. Hopefully those that have watched it or listened to it have got a bit of a example as to what we're going to be covering. We will mature this as a platform. I'll clean my whiteboard in future episodes and things like this. And we'll look to have some fantastic guests on that we've already got some starting to line up. Hopefully, Murtuza set us a on-air challenge that by the end of May, the first episode will be live. So if you've listened to this on YouTube or on iTunes, make sure you subscribe to receive those episodes either as a podcast or a video that is right for you. And follow us on Twitter or LinkedIn. Details will be down below, so you can learn when new episodes are coming out. So Murtuza, thank you for bringing this opportunity to me. Thank you for the first episode and joining me today. And I think we should bid people goodbye until the next episode.
Sure. Thanks, Barry, and thanks for the partnership, and thanks to our viewers of the first episode. And please encourage us, please subscribe, please like us, send us your comments so that we can carry on this work for you. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.